teams enter, 4 teams leave. The first, second leg knockout matches of the Champions League take place this week, and that means the end of the road for 4 clubs. While the zero-sum game between Real Madrid and PSG will grab most of the headlines, there is plenty to discuss from the other ties as Inter head to Anfield, Salzburg look to exploit Bayern's iffy form, and Sporting pray for a miracle in Manchester. I'm joined by Jimmy Conrad, Heath Piers, and Jonathan Johnson to break it all down, as well as discussing some of the Europa League round of 16 matchups. The Qué Golazo Champions League preview begins right now. Hey everybody, welcome to Qué Golazo. Thank you so much for being part of the family. Qué Golazo Pod on Twitter, youtube.com/Qué Golazo, wherever you listen to your pods. How is everybody doing? Jimmy Conrad in the hizzy. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. Obviously excited for a big slate of games this upcoming weekend. Champions League is my favorite competition in the world, so I am buzzing. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm buzzing.
You are buzzing, my friend. We're always buzzing for the Champions League, of course. Heath Piers, how are you, man?
I was good until I found out Jimmy's not wearing pants. I just want to point that out from the start. I know we said we weren't going to mention it, but he came back from a long flight, and it turns out when he wears a jersey, he doesn't wear the full kit underneath.
Hey, we got to do what we got to do to be comfortable while we're speaking. Yeah. I need some air down there.
Please, make sure that you have a blanket at least. I don't. Oh, my goodness, Jonathan Johnson. Do they do the same thing in France? Jonathan Johnson, how are you, buddy?
Yeah, doing good, thanks. Not the way I wanted to start my Monday afternoon.
Amazing visual. What are you talking about?
Jimmy's wearing on the lower half. But no, you know what? I'm kind of disappointed that we're going to be chatting Champions League football today, given Villa's absolute annihilation of Southampton over the weekend. It was Champions League worthy.
Absolutely. I love it. But from Jimmy Conrad's bottom half to the top half of this show, let's begin here. Liverpool against Inter. We're doing the Tuesday games first. Liverpool hosting Inter Milan. And by the way, they have a 2-0 lead, of course. Inter Milan destroyed, naturally, I think. Salernitana are not that great. They won 5-0 this past weekend. Liverpool winning against West Ham, with Napoli losing yesterday, by the way. Inter's feeling good, I guess, as they head to Anfield. Jimmy, let's begin with you. What do we expect here? Can Inter do this, or is Liverpool through and through?
Oh, well, I'm going to start here with some fun facts. The Liverpool Reds, I like to give them like an American coinage.
The Liverpool Reds.
Los Angeles Galaxy. The Liverpool Reds have now won their last 12 in all competitions. This is obviously coming off a pretty solid 1-0 win over West Ham on the weekend. They have not lost in any competition in 2022. They haven't lost at home in over a year. They could be the first English team ever to win their opening 8 games of a single Champions League campaign. And I wouldn't put them past it to do that. They seem to like history, especially under Jurgen Klopp. Inter Milan on the other side, winless in their last 4 on the road, scoring just once in that run. So for them to have any hope, they have to score first. If they really want to put a little bit of pressure on Liverpool, they have to score first. And obviously coming off a big 5-0 win, as you mentioned, against Salernitana is a big deal. You wanted to get Lautaro going. He hadn't really scored or scored consistently. So confidence is important, as we know. But if they don't score first, this one is done and dusted. Liverpool are very good. And yeah, that's all I got. Thanks, everybody.
The
analysis.
Yeah. No, the only thing I'd add to that, Jimmy, is that obviously Inter hadn't scored since before that first leg. And so that 5-0 win over Salernitana could be that wake-up call needed. They definitely need to score first, obviously, and I think they need to score early if they want to have any chance of coming back into this one, just to swing that momentum just a little bit. Nico Barella was sent off, so he'll be out, and that's a huge loss. Vidal, I don't know if Vidal can be the stopgap for Barella not being on the field in this one. And then on the flip side, Thiago, which we saw was injured, I believe, in the warm-up of the League Cup final. He's back into the team, and that's the biggest difference for me. When Naby Keita plays, Liverpool are not as good. They look vulnerable. They give up a lot. And it's not all on him. It's just the rhythm of the team. So if he's back in, I don't really see Inter having a chance. And this ends up being a long-term benefit, as I mentioned before, for Inter Milan being able to focus on just the league. Not that that's how they would want to go out. But, yeah, I think if Thiago's back in the team again, I know he's back in training full-time. If he's starting in this one, I just don't really see Inter's ability to really turn this one around.
Yeah, it's difficult to see Inter sort of translating the domestic form onto the continental stage. I felt more confident about them going into the first leg. And I think once I saw them fall short there, I think that pretty much made my mind up. My prediction for this one is that Liverpool repeat the score from away from home and win 4-0 on aggregate. I hope to be proved wrong because I'd love to see it be a bit more of a contest, but I'm just not sure that, Inter, they've got enough to be remaining competitive in the title race at the moment in Serie A, potentially looking to defend their title, but I think this is where the road stops for them in the Champions League. Liverpool are a cut above them, both in terms of squad depth and in terms of their quality in that starting 11. And I think if Inter were going to have some European success this season, it probably would have been better for them to drop into the Europa League. But they're here now, and they really need something special if they're going to get anything from Anfield, which I can't, unfortunately, see happening for them.
Yeah, Jimmy, before you jump with any possible betting tips here, as that graphic showed, Liverpool have won each of their 3 games against Inter Milan in European competition. By the way, fun fact here, only one team in the Champions League, in Champions League history, has lost the first leg 2-0 and yet come to progress. Jonathan Johnson, who is that?
Sounding like a PSG stat, surely. Actually,
it's a PSG stat against PSG's favor.
PSG. Yeah, exactly.
Manchester United, of course, was the team as well that did that.
Oh, yeah, of course, because it was 2-0 to PSG at Old Trafford. Yeah,
that's it. So
fun memories on this wonderful Monday.
I'm sorry.
Why are we bringing up old stuff? Yeah,
I know. I'm sorry. Well, poor PSG.
By the way, this Inter Milan side, I believe, and if my memory serves me correct, it's their first time in the knockout rounds in over 10 years or around 10 years, and so
that's significant.
This is a pretty long run for them to get to. Anyway, if you remember last year, they hadn't won the championship yet, but they went into Europe and then were completely knocked out, didn't even make the Europa League in the group stages. So this is a big step forward for them, even though we're talking about Inter in a different vein, in a different era, it seems like now. It's still a long ways for them to go, and obviously a huge hill to climb against Liverpool.
Yeah, Jimmy, betting tips.
Yeah, I remember Inzaghi came out after the first leg and said, we weren't that far behind Liverpool. They scored on a set piece, Bobby Firmino. They had to make subs to really kind of freshen things up, to really unlock us a little bit. And I remember him being satisfied with how it went outside of the results. So I think they think they're good enough to compete at Anfield, but I think we can all sit here and say, well, the stats are going against you. And I think current form is going against you a little bit as well. And Liverpool are an unstoppable force at the moment. I did want to give a shout out to Trent Alexander-Arnold. He got his 11th assist the weekend against West Ham. He's now got 11 plus assists in 3 seasons. Yeah. Not only that, he has created the second most chances in the Premier League this season. And as a fullback, that is ridiculous, right? So he's only behind Bruno Fernandes, who's got 75. He's created 71. That's 20 more than Mo Salah, who's 3rd on the list. So it just really speaks to how important Trent Alexander-Arnold is. And from a tactical perspective, if Inter want to slow Liverpool down, they got to make sure he doesn't get the ball with his head up, because he's going to be killing you. But ultimately, I looked at 2 lines. If you feel like Inter are gonna build on that momentum of scoring 5 goals against Salernitana, Dzeko gets goals, Lautaro got goals in that game, then Liverpool to win, both teams to score is plus 210. And I could see it. The Liverpool are very stout defensively at home in particular. But Liverpool to win with a clean sheet is plus 165. So I'm kind of giving you the 2 values that I thought were the best. You just have to decide. This is all about Liverpool winning. You just have to decide whether you think Inter is going to score or not.
Yeah, the only thing that I'm going to say is that win, and Heath and I talked about it yesterday, that win against West Ham this weekend, by the way, West Ham had chances, like legitimate chances to equalize, and they had the same amount of shots on target as Liverpool. So to your point, Liverpool winning, but Inter scoring seems like a sexy little taster there. All right, let's move on here. Bayern Munich against Salzburg, 1-1. Bayern Munich are not right now, as Derek Zulander would say, so hot right now. They're really not that great. Julian Nagelsmann against Matthias yesterday. Salzburg, by the way, only picked up 1 point on the road in the group stages. But Bayern's injury list, Tolisso, Manuel Neuer, Alphonso Davies, Goretzka. Salzburg also have their injuries as well. But I don't know about this one. Heath, let's begin with you. What do you make of this match as Bayern host Salzburg?
Yeah, Neuer being out, I think, makes a big difference, but not a huge difference when you're looking at just the depleted side of Salzburg. I think they've got eight plus injuries. I mean, 2 of them are really their only significant ones within the team. I think Okafor will be out, and Adamu will start up top. He scored over the weekend, which I think is a positive. And then in the back line, you have Piatkowski, who will likely start in this one. And so it's hard for me to really think that Bayern aren't going to be able to pull this one out, even though Bayern haven't been in the greatest form either, winning only 2 of their last 5 in all competitions. They've been really weak in the league. Even in Europe, obviously, a draw against Salzburg, no disrespect to them, is sort of a flat result for Bayern Munich with the standard that they've set. And so I don't think Bayern are going to struggle to get through this one, but I am worried about Bayern's form in general and how far they can go in the competition, considering they are not playing very well. They're not getting results against the teams that they usually do. I think that they've got enough gap in the league table to sort of be comfortable there, but they're not doing it the way it's similar. Again, I mentioned this yesterday in the weekend recap. They're similar to City in the sense of City pre this weekend. They're going through this phase where they're in a little bit of a lull. They're not playing really great. They're not giving up a ton of points, but they look vulnerable. And with Salzburg starting their best sort of 4 or 5 up top, their midfield still intact in terms of the 8 injuries that they have. They've got an opportunity in this one to do something if they can strike early, but I think this might be another hill that's too big to climb, and Bayern might face a foe that's too strong for them to beat maybe in the next round.
Yeah, it's weird to be talking about Bayern and for them not to be scoring a truckload of goals and for Lewandowski not to be banging in 5 every week at the moment. I mean, I do think that there is, a significant influence stemming from Manuel Neuer's absence. I don't want to blame it all on Sven Ulreich, but he always seems to unfortunately be the wrong guy in the wrong place at the wrong time. But Bayern overall, they're just a lot less fluent. I mean, I think that's part and parcel as well of when you're, such a forward-thinking coach as Julian Nagelsmann. He's coming in trying to, stamp his ideas on this squad. It's going to take time. It's going to take, the best part of a season or so for that to really happen, for the players to buy in. But, I think that Bayern, they will have been surprised by, how they haven't been as dominant as usual over the last couple of weeks. I think that loss to Bochum really shocked them as well. They haven't been racking up the goals in the same way since. And I still think that despite some of these absences on the Salzburg side, I still think that they could run them close. And that's why in my prediction, I went for only Bayern winning 1-0 to advance, because I think that this is one that could potentially even go sort of beyond the regulatory 180 minutes. Because I don't know, Bayern, they don't seem to be feeling that comfortable. I mean, like he said, if they get the early goal, then perhaps it'll be a different story, but I'm not sure they will. For Salzburg, they know that history is on the line. They've already done so much this season, so many positives. Geisler is now one of the bright young coaches that everyone's looking at in Europe. But, for me, they come to Munich with little to lose, everything to gain. They'll be so motivated for this, and I don't think that Bayern will relish going up against them.
No, JJ, I think you make some great points. Heath as well. The team for Salzburg is so young, and confidence is so razor thin. It's either all or nothing when you're young. Either I'm the best player of all time or I'm the worst, right? So if they can score first and get that little bit of belief, like they did in leg 1, I think that carried them on to really hold off Bayern for a significant amount of time. I think there is a chance for them to do it. But as Heath mentioned, there are some significant injuries. And I'm looking less at Okafor, who I do think is important, but Adamu came in and scored in the first leg when he replaced him in leg 1. So I think he's got a little confidence, and as he said, he scored on the weekend. But Piatkowski in the back, they're missing 2 of their normal center backs, either their starter or their Ongueni or Soleil, kind of the guy that usually backs them up. And Piatkowski's 21 years old. He's only made 1 sub appearance in 7 Champions League games. He's only played in 9 out of 21 Austrian Super League games. Austrian Bundesliga, excuse me. Imagine you're 21. You haven't really played that much this season. And by the way, you got to mark Robert Lewandowski. It just doesn't add up to winning or having success. So I think if Bayern get this first goal, they're going to maybe relax, and maybe they shouldn't, but I think it's going to give them the first goal in this one is very, very important. And I think that if Salzburg scored, I'd be a little squeaky bum time, a little nervy, I think, for Bayern, because sometimes they have trouble kind of figuring out how they're going to solve teams that bring that type of energy and belief. That said, I like both teams to score, minus 125. I don't like to swim in negative waters, but that's pretty good. I just think because Sven Ulreich's in goal, they're not as confident sitting in front of them. And then I like Bayern to win both teams to score plus 130.
Yeah, I like that. Historically speaking, obviously, everything's going Bayern's way. Every time they faced Austrian competition in Europe. They've won it. That's been 5 times. But Salzburg here, just like Jonathan Johnson said, they got nothing to lose, man. You can just go out there and just try and do it. And even if you concede early, I think the game plan doesn't change because you still have to score.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on this one, Heath? I know you wanted to conclude and bring it home.
Just real quick, obviously Jimmy got it right. I got it wrong there on the Adamu. He was scored in the first leg, not over the weekend. So
he did both. He did both.
Did he?
Did both.
Okay. Yeah. I wanted to make sure in case I got that wrong. I get things wrong often, and I'm just learning to live with my mistakes and apologize early, and then just face the firing range on the internet. But the other thing was that just the last thing I wanted to say about Salzburg is they're not great on the road. Just historically, I think in their last 7, they've only won 2 on the road, which is not a great stat when you're going to play against Bayern Munich, who again aren't at their best right now, but playing on the road is sort of a mentality thing. And when that starts to become fragile, that cracks a little bit. It's difficult to turn around, especially against an opponent like Bayern Munich.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Salzburg winless away from home in the Champions League so far. All right, we didn't do this before we take the break, but let's do predictions from both games just to remind ourselves, everybody, just very quickly. On Liverpool Inter, what can we expect and who can go through here? Let's go with you first, Jonathan Johnson. Liverpool Inter, what do you expect in the second leg and who goes through?
Yeah, I've got Liverpool winning 2-0, so that'll be a 4-0 aggregate victory.
There you go. Jimmy Conrad?
I got 2-1 Liverpool. I'm going to give a little love to Inter. They're going to find the back of the net in this one.
Yeah, I think they'll find the back of the net, but I'm going with a 3-1 Liverpool. I'm going 3-1 Liverpool. Heath Pierce, Liverpool Inter?
I'm going to go Liverpool 2-1. It's hard for me to think after Lautaro Martinez's hat trick that he's not going to be in form to at least score something here. But I think Liverpool are going to be too strong. All
right. So, Jimmy, you said you had Bayern winning here, but Salzburg scoring in this one?
Yeah, I got 3-1 Bayern. I think that it'll be tight for a while. And then as Bayern's done to Salzburg in the past, once like the 75th minute hits, they get tired because they can't chase anymore. And then the experience of Bayern comes and scores like 17 goals. Yeah.
Heath Pierce?
Yeah, I like the same. I mean, as that game goes on, if Salzburg are forced to sort of be close enough that they've got to take chances, I think that's where Bayern are going to capitalize on a few chances and finish it. So I'm saying 3-1 as well.
Yeah, I'm going 3-2. Jonathan Johnson, what say you?
Ooh.
Man, I'm going 1-0, so another one goal victory for Bayern. But
the worst advertisement, the worst advertiser of Champions League ever.
I was tempted by the 2-1 Bayern. But as Jimmy said, I don't like swimming in dangerous waters, so I'm going to stick to my guns, and I'm going to say that Bayern are going to continue to struggle here. They'll go through, but I just don't think it'll be all that convincing.
All right, it's not quite a cheese pizza, but it has some olives on it, so that's where we'll go with that one. All right, well,
at least I swim while wearing shorts in those dangerous waters.
By the way,
you got to live a little, JJ. Get out there, baby. Let it hang. Let it get out there.
It's early in the morning for the West Coasters in this show. By the way, as far as I'm concerned, I'm surprised they have clothes all together. I mean, I'd be dead when we do this Champions League preview. But that was Tuesday's action. We're gonna take a break. When we come back, Wednesday's action, which obviously includes the miracle that Sporting is hoping for against Man City, and of course the headliner as Real Madrid host PSG. Champions League preview. Qué Golazo, Heath Pierce, Jimmy Conrad, Jonathan Johnson, LME. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody. Champions League preview as we look to the second leg of these matches. Now we're on Wednesday, but first of all, I wanted to remind you about, this year, 2022, marking the 50th anniversary of Title IX, and the Attacking Third podcast is celebrating the anniversary all of March for Women's History Month. Each Tuesday during March, host Lisa Roman and Sandra Herrera will chat with groundbreakers in women's sports from Sam Ewis, Katrina Adams, Amy Trask, and Leslie Weiser. Listen to Attacking Third's Title IX Tuesday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever else podcasts are found. All right, let's go. We got some news here. Developing news, please. We're being transparent as we tape. The latest on a major star, a major factor in this game as Real Madrid hosts PSG, who lead 1-0. Jonathan Johnson, our Paris-based PSG insider, tell us what's the latest on Kylian Mbappe.
Yeah, so Mbappe picked up a knock in training on the Monday, so 2 days before the game. It doesn't sound initially like it's too serious, but obviously with the game just 2 days away, it sounds like it's serious enough to make him quite a significant doubt for that. And obviously For PSG to be going into this game without Mbappe, I think that suddenly changes the complexion of this tie completely, because Mbappe so far is the difference between the two sides, as we saw in the first leg. But also, whenever you watch PSG this season, as we saw again over the weekend, Mbappe was suspended against Nice, so it's not even like he played in the last couple of days. PSG just look awful without him. They really do. They don't seem to have much purpose. There's very little attacking threat, despite the quality that they boast within their ranks. So for Mbappe to potentially miss the call for this game, I think that's a huge blow. And although you could make an argument that on paper PSG have enough quality to go to Madrid, get a result, and obviously a draw is good enough to send them through, given the way that they won the game in the first leg, it's going to be a massive ask mentally, because Mbappe makes that difference to this squad. When he's there and when he's not there, you notice it every time. This is a game that you don't want to be going into without your talisman. And that is what Mbappe has emerged as for PSG over the last few months.
Well, listen, JJ, and everybody listening, I mean, it's sink or swim time for this guy they picked up in the transfer window, Leo Messi, to step up and prove his worth. I don't know if you guys have heard of this. He's pretty good, apparently. And if they're looking for a new talisman, this might be the guy that needs to really earn his cash, as they say. So I will add that this is a big loss for PSG, of course, and totally concur with what JJ's saying. From a Madrid perspective, though, it's not necessarily easy going, even though they played well and won 3 on the trot since losing to PSG in leg 1. They've got no Ferland Mendy, and when he's not in the team at left back, they struggle. It looks like maybe Marcelo will play, which is I don't know how you say defensive liability in Spanish, but that is what he is. You got Toni Kroos, who's out.
Debilidad defensiva.
He's out. Thank you very much. And Casemiro's out. So you got Kroos, Casemiro, and Ferland Mendy that are out. I mean, these are 3 very significant players. Now, I like Camavinga. I thought he was good on the weekend against La Real. But this is different. I mean, the Champions League's a different gravy. La Real is not PSG, whether they are a little bit hurt or not. I mean, they still have some world-class quality in their team. So this is going to be an interesting one for me. I think that Madrid, even if Mbappe had played, I feel like Madrid were just going to have a little bit. I know that Ancelotti got under a lot of scrutiny from the Real Madrid board about how tame they played, how timid they were in leg 1. That was Benzema at 60-70%. Now Benzema's back doing his thing, scoring goals. Him and Vinicius looking like they're getting that connection going again. I like Madrid in this one, regardless of Mbappe being hurt, but now maybe even a little bit more so. However, the spine of that without Mendy and without Kroos and Casemiro, they're also going to give a little bit of a different look. So I'm curious to how this game actually plays out.
The only upside I'd say to that is Camavinga scored a banger over the weekend.
He did.
Not that means too much going into a game like this. And also Real Madrid, since that loss, have been fantastic. They've looked in form. They've looked much sharper. They've looked awake. Whereas PSG, in general, haven't looked great since that win over Real Madrid. And I think there's just been a shift in form. And then you take Mbappe out of that equation, who was literally the catalyst, as JJ mentioned, and anything positive that they do going forward, just that energy and just that willingness to know that you have somebody that's going to be able to deliver when you put the ball in good spots or get into good spots himself, I think is a huge swing for them. This is one that I'm kind of torn on, but looking at the form of Madrid, I mean, I've still got this horror show in my mind of Real Madrid in that first leg where they just looked so bad. But I go back to the weekend again, and Carvajal, who was a player that I thought was the worst player on the field, which I don't remember ever saying very often, obviously coming back from injury, he's been fantastic. He was fantastic again over the weekend. That even though they are missing those players, as Jimmy mentioned, I think Real Madrid are probably the favorites in this one, considering all of these conditions that we've all mentioned. And I like Real Madrid to go through here.
Yeah, Real Madrid have been, by the way, a little statistical history here. They've been eliminated from 9 of their past 10 knockout matches when they lose the first leg. However, PSG have been eliminated from 3 of 8 when they've been leading. So something has to give either way. This, to me, is shaping up to be such an intriguing matchup, partly because PSG obviously doesn't have Kylian Mbappe, but also you mentioned Lionel Messi, Jimmy. I mean, this is the time for Neymar now, right? Like you haven't won the Champions League title with PSG. It's time to really step up as well. Wasn't a good weekend. Of course, we all know what happened with Nice, in that matchup. So this is a lot going on for Neymar returning. This is very, like he said, this is a really tough one to figure out, specifically because I don't know what PSG side is going to show up for this one. So,
by the way, Real Madrid, PSG don't win at the Bernabeu either. That's another thing to take into
another component to it. And by the way, the fact that now the Champions League finals in Paris, I don't know, is that too fatalistic now for the fact that PSG will not be, at the final? It has to happen, I believe, right?
Can JJ answer this for us? I feel like this PSG team seems to play better when their backs are against the wall, when there's a little bit of pressure for them to fight out of, as opposed to
which is what's happening right now.
Some random game against whoever, Troyes,
Don't call that random. That's a big game for
a 16-point lead at the top of the table. I feel like maybe they just need that's competition.
That's my Sunday night box office.
Yeah, there's no random games. It's league play, Jimmy. That's not random. It happens every year. You play everybody home and away.
Okay, fine.
No, I mean, this, these are all really good topics. I mean, obviously, the final being changed to Paris wasn't something that people expected. Just less than 2 weeks ago. So obviously that does change things a bit. To Jimmy's point about sort of PSG doing better with their backs against the walls when they're embattled a bit, that's certainly true of since Pochettino has come in. You look at their best results and performances last season in the Champions League when they went away against Barca and blew them away. When they got a good result on the road against Bayern as well. Those came at times when people were looking at them saying like, oh, they're missing, a couple of different guys, might not be able to put their best performance in. And then suddenly, they managed to produce arguably their best showings of the season. Some of those key guys stepped up to the plate and delivered. Neymar with a superb assist for Marquinhos in Munich. But obviously Mbappe was part of those victories each time. And it's impossible to overemphasize how important he is to PSG and how much that could damage them mentally. But then again, you have so much experience in that squad, guys who have been there, done that. You've got guys like Keylor Navas, who if you put him in goal, almost guarantees you a great performance against his former club, as we saw in the group stages a couple of seasons ago. So I don't think it necessarily has to be too fatalistic at this moment in time. And if anything, I think it's actually a source of motivation with the final being moved to Paris, regardless of the reasons why it's been moved. I think that there should be a lot of motivation right now within that squad for PSG to think, right, this finally is our year.
Okay, so I'm going to give you the tips right now. Real Madrid plus 155, slight favorites. PSG to win straight up plus 160. Now, I think that's going to change with the Mbappe news, so take that into consideration. And obviously, go look at the starting lineups. Make sure you're comfortable with both before you make any bets. The draw plus 265. Now, we've talked to some experts before. When the odds are that even for whoever's going to win, you should always go with the draw. That's the best value. I don't know. A draw obviously favors PSG to go through. They won leg one. I could see it being like a 2-1 Real Madrid. Then it goes into extra time because it's 2-2 in aggregate. And then Madrid pulls off some Benzema Vinicius magic to win it in extra time is kind of where I'm leaning. So I got Real Madrid winning. I'm with Heath on this. I do want to say, though, from a PSG perspective, what happens to Mauricio Pochettino if he gets knocked out of this competition? Like, Liga is wrapped up. Like, what? He's got to be gone. I think he's gone. So there's a lot at stake at this game that maybe – There's a couple layers here that I find very interesting.
Yeah. Heath?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going with I don't know what number to give or scoreline to give for this one, but I think Real Madrid somehow find a way out of this. I mean, as Jimmy was talking there at the end, even though he was talking positively about Real Madrid, I started to walk back a little bit. I'm like, man, that missing midfield might be the difference against Real Madrid and how slow that they look. But I still like Real Madrid on in this one just statistically. So I'm going to go with just a win for Real Madrid and they go through.
Well, before Jonathan Johnson jumps in, I'm going with PSG. I don't know why. I just I think to your point, Jimmy, this game is so big for them. So big. Neymar needs to give the performance of the season. And I'm hoping that actually that does happen. I don't know if this goes to extra time, but if it does, I have this sneaky suspicion that it's going to pens all the way. And if that happens, I think that Keylor Navas is going to come heroically in this one, or PSG definitely will go through. I'm going with a PSG win in penalties. Jonathan Johnson.
I love that.
Well, my prediction before I knew about the Mbappe news was a 1-1 draw, which would send PSG through. I'm going to stick with the score. It really wouldn't surprise me if it requires like a late goal. But I think that the quality is still there to come away from a result when you take into account the Real Madrid, the missing Real Madrid players. I mean, It's not like I don't think that La Liga is of high quality, and I'm certainly not trying to compare it to Ligue 1. But when I saw Real Madrid in the flesh a couple of weeks ago against PSG, they looked old, they looked leggy, and I don't see that changing, once they return to Champions League action. And I think that, Pochettino really needs to, to earn his corn here and pump his players up because, like you said, he could be out of a job by the end of the week if PSG do get knocked out of the Champions League, because there's nothing else left for him and PSG to play for together after this. He won't be the coach beyond the end of this season. So, it could just bring forward his dismissal. But PSG shouldn't be thinking about that. They should be concentrating on just getting a result in Madrid. And despite the absences or the probable absences on both sides, I still think that they have the squad to get a draw, which is all they need to advance.
Yeah, we got 2 here, 2 for Real Madrid, 2 for PSG. So you out there at home, choose your story and see what happens. But it's going to be a great night, hopefully, of a lot of action. All right, well, this one's easy. Man City, 5, leading Sporting, nothing. I mean, this is done. Is it not, Heath Pierce? It's done.
Yes. To answer your question, yes.
Okay, so I guess the bigger question here is what you expect from Man City in terms of the lineup, and also judging from that win against Manchester United, what can we expect? I'm expecting obviously heavy rotation, which is never really a terrible thing when you're Man City and the bench that you have. I'm expecting a rotation squad in this one, and even if they win 2-0, whatever, it's still, pretty easy pickings.
Yeah, I mean, you just have the ability now to rotate your squad differently than you did before. Raheem Sterling didn't play over the weekend, so he can step in and get his minutes. Didn't even come off the bench in that one. And so it's set up perfectly to get him a run and start to rotate players, allow Phil Foden to get a rest or De Bruyne to get a rest. Ruben Diaz gets another rest, which if he was sort of close enough to being fit and this was a tight one, you would expect him to probably have to be thrown to the wolves in this one to sacrifice. And now it's just a great scenario. It's sort of the luck that Man City have had all season long, is that the moment that they have any sort of issues, it's sort of at a different time or a different pace when the league in itself, the Premier League, is getting depleted by rosters and their rosters getting depleted by COVID. And then now a situation here where you're being given this cushion. And not to say that's luck. You beat somebody 5-0, you get to rotate whenever you want. You earn the right to rotate your squad here. But coming after a huge win where they didn't really pick up any knocks over Manchester United, it's just a great window for them to rest, rotate, and know that there's a huge buffer that you could actually get a huge rest out of most of your squad and still feel safe knowing that you can bring 3-4 players off the bench if there was a 2-goal swing and you had to shut the game down.
Yeah, on top of that, I would consider looking at partnerships that you want to strengthen with Ruben Diaz out, especially in the back line. You get Stones and Laporte some more minutes. They have 3 games coming up away from home: Crystal Palace, Southampton, and Burnley. And all those are going to just be a fight, right? There's nothing beautiful. Yeah, I mean, all 3 of those teams can play at times, but ultimately they think when they're playing against the Man City, we got to drop back and we got to fight to get results. So they know what's coming, and I think that there will be some rotation. From a Sporting perspective, they just lost to Porto in leg 1 of the Portuguese Cup semifinals. They were up 1-0, and they gave up 2 goals to go 2-1. They're just probably not in their best form at this particular point in the season. And I think that their coach, Ruben Amorim, might just want to start playing some younger players. They just had a player start this past weekend in a 2-0 win, Dario Isugo. And I throw his name out there because I want you to remember it. He's 16 years old.
Oh, Jimmy, we all play Football Manager. We know all the 16.
Okay, if you know Dario Isugo, then that's fine.
He's a bit old for my team.
But Sporting, the previous youngest starter in the history of the club was Luis Figo. So they really, really believe in this kid, and why not? Yeah. Why not just throw him out there and see how he does? Well, maybe don't. Because
that sounds horrible if I was 16 down 5-0 in the second leg being like, you got this, man.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you don't want to showcase him because then City can come in and buy him. And you're like, oh, great, sweet. We just lost our best player. But I don't know. It's an interesting moment for Sporting and what they elect to do. I mean, they're going to go out there and fight and make it difficult. But yeah, 5-0 is just too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this one has to be all about pride for Sporting, and for City. Like you guys have already said, it's a luxury position for Guardiola. And if there's one coach who might not look to exploit that to its fullest, it is definitely Pep. But I think there's a lot of positive things that come out of that win over United over the weekend. I thought the Grealish going 90 minutes, and actually starting to look like the player that City spent all of that money on, will be quite encouraging for them, and for them to be able to put him out on the pitch in the Champions League, should bode well for them heading into the business end of the season. But I mean, really, it's over as a contest. It was over as a contest before the end of 90 minutes in Portugal, and I can see City winning this one, but I don't think it'll be anywhere near the same level of intensity. That sort of desire to crush Sporting that we saw from City in the first leg. So a 2-0 win for City wouldn't surprise me, but still, if you look at that 7-0 on aggregate, that is a thumping.
Yeah, I have 2-0 as well. Heath?
Yeah, I think 2-0 sounds right. I mean, I'll just follow the crowd.
Well, what's interesting is it's so heavily favored on the odds and on Caesars Sportsbook for City, rightfully. But the over 3.5 goals is plus 105. And I'm looking at that because I could see Sporting scoring 1 and then City's being like, all right, we'll score 5 at the 3 or whatever. Doesn't matter. So I don't know. I kind of like that one from a positive outlook. Outside of that, maybe just throw City into a parlay to win and make sure you guarantee a little coin there. I don't know.
Yeah, this graphic here is interesting, by the way. The odds to win the Champions League, obviously Man City there, Liverpool, Bayern Munich in third. Is there anything there that maybe could be different, do you think, going from everybody? Jimmy, back to you. Anybody else that you think could go up that group maybe to perhaps win it all?
Inter Milan's really plus 25,000. That's crazy. I mean, they didn't play that bad in leg 1, but all right. So this is tough. I think Liverpool plus 350 is some really good value. And if PSG goes on a run, for them at plus 700. I mean, ultimately, when I see these kind of bigger future bets like this, I put like $10 on a couple of them and then see if I hit one of them. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Jimmy said that really well. I mean, it's shocking just the gap. Obviously, these are based coming after leg 1, where you see some of these kind of the hills that some of these teams have to overcome to get there. But it looks pretty spot on. But I agree with Jimmy on the Liverpool at plus 350. Manchester City, even you expect them to get to the final, but in terms of value, I could see PSG, even though I just bet against them to get out of their round.
If they go on a run, though,
But in terms of a team that's close enough in the tie,
Agreed.
Or ahead in the tie, and has the quality, and where they're just we just talked about, this is Neymar's time to come out. This is Messi's time to come out. Like the names that we're saying it's their time to show up. If they actually do show up, then yeah, I think that PSG value is pretty amazing.
JJ?
Yeah, I was surprised maybe a bit about the gap between Ajax and the rest of the favorites, given their form so far in the competition, and Real Madrid being so far back. But otherwise, I mean, like you guys, I think if if I was to put money on a team after this stage, I mean, I think if PSG can get past Real, like I said, I don't necessarily see them going to Madrid and winning, but just advancing in the tie, then I think if you get Mbappe back, suddenly they're motivated, potential final in Paris, I think that could be some smart money.
Yeah, listen, if they beat Real Madrid, I'm originally at the very beginning of this Champions League season, I said PSG will win the whole thing. If they beat Real Madrid, they're winning the whole. I'm sticking with that. I'm just gonna, plus 700 is pretty sexy. All right, let's wrap up here with our quick Europa League preview. Of course, as some games have now been sorted out for, the round of 16. And Wednesday, 12:45 Eastern, Porto against Lyon, Betis against Frankfurt. And on Thursday, Sevilla against West Ham. Leipzig, Spartak has been cancelled, of course. Barcelona against Galatasaray. Rangers against Red Star. Braga against Monaco. And Atalanta against Leverkusen. Anything to take away from that, Jimmy Conrad?
Well, I obviously want to continue to see how Barcelona plays. They've got this belief, the confidence, right? We talk about it. Even world-class players need a little confidence sometimes. And I think Xavi's done a very good job of turning that situation around. And just a shout out to whoever's doing the accounting for that team. the fact that they can sign all these players and get all this stuff and they're bankrupt is just amazing. It just really is.
Jimmy,
a work of art.
no one's doing accounting. That's the thing.
Yeah, well, that's
like,
you know what?
accounting works usually like after this year, they'll go back and they'll look at it and they'll figure it out, and
I believe you need to thank Goldman Sachs for this.
Yeah.
Now, the other match, though, that really stands out for me is Sevilla versus West Ham. West Ham, I mean, they got a raw deal drawing Sevilla in the round of 16. Sevilla have won 6 out of the last 16 Europa League competitions. The finals in their home stadium. It just looks like it's fate that Sevilla is going to go through. West Ham won their group. Were very good in the group stages. We're in good form. Now when they come into this game, getting knocked out of the FA Cup by Southampton, losing to Liverpool on the weekend, even though we could argue they maybe deserved a little bit more, they still lost. So they're kind of tail between the legs coming into this. And I think this is one of the challenges of being one of those teams that doesn't spend like the top 6 does in the Premier League, but still wanting to be in Europe. And do you have the depth to compete in multiple competitions? And this is the proof's in the pudding. We're going to find out. But I like Sevilla in this one, especially Leg 1. They've only lost once in all competitions at home this season.
Yeah, I'm going to take a bit of an alternative look at it because obviously I like to keep an eye on all things French. Porto Lyon, coming into this one this was a Champions League caliber match just a couple of years ago. So to have that, to enjoy on the Wednesday is something I'm looking forward to. Betis, I think I said it in last week's podcast. I was really worried about what this run of games might do to them and their momentum. Sadly, it looks like they're losing ground sort of on all fronts at the moment. And I just hope for them that they've got enough in the tank to get them past Frankfurt and keep this European adventure going a little bit more, at least until the quarterfinals. And then on the Thursday, Braga, Monaco up until recently, up until their win against Marseille, have really, really been struggling since Philippe Clement came in as coach. So I think that they could really do with rediscovering a bit of form in Europe because they're going to need some momentum towards the end of the season if they're going to break into the Champions League spots in Ligue 1, because competition in that part of the table at this moment in time is very tight. Also, Atalanta Leverkusen, that's another game, between two teams that have a lot of Champions League experience, a lot of quality players. So really looking forward to seeing that one as well.
Yeah, the game that I would follow up on is exactly that, the Atalanta Leverkusen game. Obviously, Atalanta losing over the weekend to Roma. Gasperini taking 3 players out before the 60th minute mark, which for a team that has some rotation or has some depth, they don't have that much depth, and obviously still tinkering, trying to figure out, or resting legs for this upcoming match. And Leverkusen looked really good against Bayern Munich, and obviously they're still without Patrick Schick. I'm not sure if he'll be back. Obviously, he scored 25 plus goals, I think, across all competitions, and he's their main go-to player as they go on this quest in Europe, as well as try to finish top 2 in the Bundesliga. This is going to be one that if you like goals, this is the game that I'm going for. Obviously, with Diaby and Adli and Florian Wirtz, 3 young players across the midfield, it's just a really fun team to watch, and they certainly have that confidence of what I would say the RB Leipzigs and others of the past that play these young players. Those young players seem to be in really good form right now, and so it's certainly one to watch.
Yeah, so that you have it. Europa League on Wednesday and Thursday. And by the way, West Ham's meeting with Sevilla will be their first against Spanish opposition in Europe in over 40 years. So should be a good, interesting. But as the boys mentioned, so many good games to preview. All right, that's it. That's the end of our Champions League / Europa League preview. Qué Golazo. Final thoughts. Jonathan Johnson, let's begin with you. Final thoughts, buddy.
Well, just looking forward to this midweek slate of games and picking through it with you guys later in the week.
Absolutely. Heath Beers?
Thanks for having me, guys. It's been really fun to see your faces again. Monday, kick off a nice little Monday. Jimmy, I apologize for telling the audience that you didn't have pants on.
Okay. I'm comfortable, so it's all good. My final thought is I'm doing a crazy 7-leg parlay for the Europa League. I've got a draw Porto Leon, Betis to win over Frankfurt, Sevilla over West Ham, Barcelona over Galatasaray, Atalanta and Leverkusen a draw, Rangers over Red Star, and Braga Monaco draw as well.
Wow.
If I put out $100, it'll pay me $28,000. So I probably will see you guys never when that hits.
You are the fifth Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, because that's a lot of cheese pizzas.
Wow, we're all going to the Champions League final on Jimmy and dinner on him as well.
A lot of pizzas, I think. But thank you, everybody. Jimmy Conrad, thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you, HP.
Thank you.
Jonathan Johnson, always a pleasure.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Make sure to follow Qué Golazo on Twitter, youtube.com/Qué Golazo, wherever you listen to your pods. Enjoy the European Action Champions League and Europa League, where you can watch it. By the way, Paramount Plus, don't forget, and CBS as well. 7-day trial, all that goodness. Have a great beginning to your week. We will see you next time. Till then.